When stars come out and skies turn deep, it's time for hearts to softly keep the love of God, both big and small, to share with others, one and all. Be kind to friends, both near and far. God sees your heart just where you are. A smile, a hurt, a hug, a gentle word can spread His love through all the world. Your God loves hearts that shine, not stun. Show tenderness, that's all, not stun. The quiet ones who help, not stun. Show tenderness, that shine, not there. When someone stumbles, who help with care.
Sammy the snail learns to wait.
In the whispering woods lived a little snail named Sammy. Sammy had a big dream, bigger than any snail in the forest. Every year, all the speedy creatures of the whispering woods gathered. Rabbits, birds, and even the quick-footed deer prepared to dash through the winding paths. Sammy, with his tiny shell and gentle pace, would watch from the starting line. His heart would thump with excitement, even though he knew he could not keep up. He would try his best, wiggling his way forward with all his might. But by the time he reached the first bend, the faster animals were already crossing the finish line. Sammy always finished last, often hours after everyone else. He would feel a little sad, wishing he could somehow magically sprout wings or zoom on tiny wheels. He often sighed, watching the other animals celebrate their speed and agility. If only I were not so slow, he would whisper to himself. One sunny afternoon, Sammy met an old wise squirrel named Nutty. Nutty was known for his thoughtful advice and calm demeanor. "Why the long face, little one?" Nutty chattered, cracking a nut. Sammy explained how his slowness made him feel left out and unspecial. Nutty listened patiently, then twitched his nose. "Sammy," he said gently, "everyone has their own unique pace and purpose. Speed is not the only way to be great." Sammy tried to understand, but his dream of winning a race still felt important. He wanted to feel the thrill of crossing the finish line with everyone cheering. The day of the next great forest race arrived. The air buzzed with anticipation, and the forest path was lined with cheering spectators. Sammy, as always, positioned himself at the very back of the starting line. He felt a familiar pang of longing, watching the agile competitors. "On your marks, get set, go," shouted the owl, who was the official race starter. The forest floor vibrated as rabbits leaped and birds soared. Sammy took a deep breath and began his steady journey. Inch by slow inch, he moved along the familiar path, not daring to hope for a miracle. But then, a strange darkness fell over the woods. The bright morning sky quickly turned a menacing shade of gray. A huge dark storm cloud, like a giant blanket, rapidly spread across the sky. The cheerful atmosphere vanished, replaced by a sudden chill. The first drops of rain splattered onto the leaves. Soon a gentle shower turned into a heavy downpour, soaking the forest. The wind howled, and the rain lashed down with incredible force. The race path, once clear, quickly became a treacherous river of mud. The speedy animals, caught off guard, stumbled and slid. Their quickness, which usually helped them, now made it harder to keep their footing. Panic began to spread among the racers. The path was washed out, familiar landmarks disappeared, and they could not see clearly through the sheeting rain. "Which way is safe?" cried a panicked fox, skidding in the mud. "I cannot see the path," wailed a little robin, soaked and disoriented. Sammy, however, was moving at his usual unhurried pace. He was low to the ground, his eyes keenly observing every small detail. He noticed a faint raised ridge of earth just beneath the swirling mud. It was the original path, slightly higher and firmer than the surrounding flooded ground. Sammy remembered Nutty's words about having a unique purpose. His slow, careful way of moving allowed him to see what others missed. He slowly but surely began to follow this barely visible, stable path. Each inch was a thoughtful step, avoiding the deeper, more dangerous puddles. Soon other animals, cold and scared, saw Sammy's calm, steady movement. He seemed to know exactly where he was going. "Sammy! Wait!" shouted a cold rabbit. "How do you know where to go?" Sammy pointed with a gentle antennae. "Follow my pace," he called. "It is the safest way." One by one, the animals gathered behind Sammy. They trusted his slow, deliberate path, realizing that haste had led them astray. Sammy led them to a small dry cave, tucked away under a large rock. It was a shelter he had noticed on one of his many slow explorations. All the forest friends huddled together, safe and warm, as the storm raged outside. They were grateful for Sammy's steady leadership. When the storm finally passed, and the sun peeked through, the animals cheered for Sammy, not for his speed, but for his wisdom and patience. Sammy smiled, realizing his slowness had been a gift from God. He understood that God's timing is perfect, even when we feel left behind, just like the verse says, "Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him." Psalm 30. 7.
Sail of the Seal, Peace in the Storm.
The big blue ocean was Sella, the seal's favorite place. She loved to wiggle and splash, chasing playful fish with her friend, Pipsy the puffin. Sella had shiny, dark eyes and sleek, grey fur. Pipsy, with her colourful beak, always brought cheer. They spent their days diving deep, playing hide and seek among the swaying kelp forests. "Catch me if you can, Sella," Pipsy would squawk, flapping her tiny wings as Sella zipped past. One sunny morning, a strange chill filled the air. The sky, usually a brilliant blue, began to darken. "Look, Sella," Pipsy cried, pointing a wing towards the horizon. "Big clouds are coming." Soon, gentle ripples turned into big, choppy waves. The wind whistled, growing stronger and louder. Sella felt a shiver run through her sleek fur, not from the cold, but from a growing unease. The sea, her beloved playground, was quickly becoming wild and frightening. Other seals and puffins began to gather, their usual joyful barks and squawks replaced by worried murmurs. Rain started to pour, blurring the lines between the angry sky and the churning sea. "This is a big storm," chattered Pipsy, huddling closer to Sella. Her colourful beak lost some of its cheer. The waves grew into giant watery mountains, crashing down with thunderous roars. Sella and Pipsy, along with many other sea creatures, huddled together on a rocky outcrop. Fear squeezed Sella's heart. The wind howled like a hungry wolf, and lightning flashed across the dark sky. What if the waves wash us away? Pipsy whimpered, burying her head under Sella's flipper. In that moment of panic, Sella remembered a story her grandma once told her. It was a story about Jesus, who was on a boat with his friends when a fierce storm arose. Everyone was scared, but Jesus simply stood up, looked at the wild waves, and commanded, "Peace, be still." And just like that, the wind stopped howling, and the sea became perfectly calm. Sella closed her eyes, remembering the powerful words. She took a deep breath, trying to be brave. She whispered, then sang softly, "Peace, be still," over and over again. Her little voice, though small, carried a calm energy through the storm. Pipsy looked up, curious. Other seals paused their chattering, listening to Sella's gentle song. As Sela continued to sing, something amazing began to happen. The fierce wind began to soften. The towering waves slowly, gently, started to shrink. The rain eased to a soft drizzle. Soon, the dark clouds began to part, revealing a sliver of blue sky and a hopeful ray of sunshine. The sea, which had been so angry, settled into gentle, rocking swells. A peaceful calm filled the air. Sella opened her eyes. The storm was gone. Pipsy chirped with relief, and the other seals barked happily. Even when life feels stormy, trust that Jesus brings peace and safety. Sella's courage helped them all find rest in God's care.